I cheated on my husband-to-be at my bachelorette party. Do I tell him before I marry him or lock it away? Prior to this incident, I had always been a devoted girlfriend. My girlfriends planned a weekend in Chicago while my other half was in Vegas for his bachelor celebration. The weekend got off to a great start since we slept at a spa hotel and indulged in massages, facials, and other spa treatments. We go out at night and have fun as females do. We were a group of around 15 people with no relatives save for a cousin. I had no idea the females had pooled their resources to get a room at a popular nightclub. We got all of the VIP treatment. The night was going great, and the ladies, of course, hired a dancer or strippers. I didn't mind at all. There were 3 strippers, and I have to say they were quite hot from the start. Of course, I was the center of attention, which culminated with the strippers improperly grabbing me and waving their items in my face. A couple of the females became a bit too handsy with them, which fueled their enthusiasm. One of the strippers saw me as a target and smothered me the whole night. He chose to wave his penis in my face while laying it on my chest and lap. He grabbed my hand in his and pressed it on his penis. The females suddenly wooed me, and I thought it was okay to touch it. I was a bit tipsy and under social pressure, but I kept going. Things got out of hand, and he repeated to me, "Kiss it," which I did, which led to his placing it in my mouth. I gave him a since it seemed harmless. There was stillness in my presence in the morning, and the females were behaving strangely. My cousin approached me and inquired whether I had sucked the stripper off, to which I softly answered, "Yes." She said, "You're getting married." I informed her that I believed that's what you were supposed to do. All I've felt since then is remorse, but I'm not sure whether I should tell my spouse. Should I or shouldn't I? I'm sure it'll get out, but just in case it doesn't, should I or shouldn't I? Story 2. My beloved wife cheated on me and my daughter isn't mine. How can I move forward as well as shake angry feelings? This is going to be a lengthy one. My wife and I have been married for 21 years. I assumed it was one of those miracle marriages since we never fought. I appeared to be the best of friends and so on. A buddy gave our 15-year-old daughter a 23 and me item for her birthday. And of course, it said that we were not related. She had me do a swab as well as her mother and her 14-year-old brother. Her brother and I were the only ones who appeared to be linked. So I took a paternity test, and lo and behold, she was not my kid. My ex-wife begged and pleaded for me to listen to her, but I became numb to her. It's one thing to cheat, but discovering that the light of my life isn't even remotely connected to me destroyed me. Don't get me wrong, I adore my child. Regardless, she is still my daughter. But what scares me the most are my ostensibly spiteful urges. I've never been like this before, and I know it's because I'm angry, but I want her to suffer so much. The youngsters despise her to the core. On the one hand, this encourages that desire, but I know that deep down, she is still their mother, and I don't want them to despise her. Her parents and siblings are all embarrassed by her. Her sister hasn't called her in a few months. We all grew up together, so it hit hard for everyone. Again, this makes me feel amazing, which terrifies me since I don't want her life to be in ruins. But I can't help but feel happy when I realize that something in her life is crumbling. Both children are living with me since they don't think much of their mother right now. I'm thinking of having the conversation regarding them talking to her since they're currently refusing. The aspect that crushes my heart the most is that my daughter seems to be overcompensating for her daughterly responsibilities. She always tells me how much she loves me and is, in essence, the ideal daughter. But I can tell she's doing it because she knows she's not biologically mine. But she urgently wants me to know how much she loves me. I'm really going to speak to her about it tonight, telling her that she doesn't have to change her behavior. I simply want to know how to get rid of the melancholy and furious, vengeful sentiments. I want to go on and assist my children move forward so they don't have to worry about school and adolescence. Please, any advice would be much appreciated. Update. To clarify, we did discuss it, and it was mentioned during the exhibition. I really didn't want to write that portion since talking about it makes me literally shiver with rage. Both my kid and I are in counseling. I am not going to push my children to speak to their mother, as advised by my therapist and several comments on my last article. They are old enough to realize the seriousness of the problem and to have their own thoughts about it. As a result, They will need to take their time assessing how they feel about dealing with it, with any help they need from me, of course. My daughter's discomfort seemed to have subsided considerably. I've convinced her that my feelings for her will never alter and that she will always be my daughter. Her anguish does not seem to be about our relationship anymore, but rather about her newly discovered trust difficulties and trauma from her family's breakup. She's also told me that she believes it's all her responsibility and that the family would still be intact if she hadn't brought the kid home. I embraced her and told her that none of this was her fault and that all she wanted to do was have fun with her family. She had no clue what was about to happen to her or that she should never blame herself. I had one chat with my SDBXW in which she begged me to forgive her and promised to adore me for the rest of her life. She said that it was dumb, that it meant nothing, and that she regrets it completely. She also said that she feels our love would be able to endure anything. I informed her that if our love was so great, she wouldn't have felt the need to seek comfort elsewhere. She is presently living at home with her parents. I've chatted with her sister and she seems to be suicidal. They are attempting to enlist her assistance, but she refuses since all she wants to do is see me and the children. As a result, I'm waiting to serve her with divorce papers. I don't want to add anything further to her mental health problems. I suggested talking to her with my son and daughter, but they flatly refused. I'm going to follow their desires and allow them some breathing room. I have this nagging sensation that she doesn't care how it made any of us feel, and that she's just concerned with the fact that she's going to lose her picture-perfect family and the nice life we had, and that it's all her fault. I have no desire to attempt to repair the relationship and move on. Update 2. My kid is doing much better now. Our connection seemed to have grown stronger as a result of this ordeal, and it isn't even an act. We spend more time together and have more heart-to-heart conversations. She went to visit her mother at her mother's parents' residence. According to what I heard, she generally chatted to her grandparents and didn't say much to her mother. My youngster is doing well as well. His experience differs from that of my daughter since he is my kid. He's still furious at his mother for betraying me, but he's warming up to her and chatted to her more when they went to see her. He's still apprehensive since he's a protective little brother who despises the fact that his sister felt so bad. I genuinely thank him for keeping her sane. He chatted to her, went on walks with her, and never gave up on her. I told him how proud I was of him for standing by her side. I also spoke to him about how he feels since I realized that throughout all I had sort of discounted him because he was my biological kid. But he's working through his problems as well, and we've had a lot of conversations now that he's in IC. In the case of my wife, I attempted MC to see if there was any possibility. I attempted to believe her that that was the only affair she had, and that she had no idea she was pregnant. However, that did not work out. In MC, I couldn't look at her or talk to her. And when I did, it was just about how horrible it made me feel. She wouldn't plead on her knees, but nothing changed. I couldn't believe she'd never strayed again, and I think she knew it wasn't her kid, but selected me as the safest bet. I'd been played like a fool, and I'm over it. I served her at her parents' place, and she burst out laughing. On the ground, she yelled at the top of her lungs. I couldn't comprehend a word she said, but I was numb to it. Her mother begged me to forgive her, but her father just brought me out to the front, and without saying anything, gave me a hard handshake and a nod with a countenance that said, "I entirely understand." We contacted my daughter's biological father and obtained his medical information. She said that she does not want to have anything to do with him since she already has a father. I'm not going to attempt to persuade her out of it, but I'm afraid she'll want to contact him one day and grow really close to him, and I'll fade away. But I try to shove it to the back of my mind and only allow it to come out during IC. That is where we are right now. My children and I are doing our best to persevere. Unless anything major occurs, which I doubt, this will be the final update. Thank you to everyone that assisted me and followed up with me.